What are the best SEO tools out there for writers? Hi there, my name is Brian Collins. Welcome to the Become a Writer Today channel. I love testing SEO tools. I love testing writing tools, full stop. SEO is a fantastic skill to learn if you're a writer because it's one thing to have an idea for an article, but it's quite another thing to attract readers. And if you can attract readers to your own site, then you can start getting paid to write and publish something that you own rather than relying on an editor. SEO is also quite easy to learn too, but you will need to understand the basics of keyword research. Now, there are two SEO tools that everybody uses. I'll mention those at the start of this video, but then I'm going to get into a number of underground and perhaps lesser used SEO tools, which are perfect for writers. I guarantee that these tools will help you rank content much faster and even at scale if that's what you want to do. Hope you enjoyed the content in this roundup. If you do, hit thumbs up. And if you have questions about a particular tool, then please ask me in the comments section below. First up, I'll cover the two big tools that you've undoubtedly used, tried at some point, or certainly heard of. They are, of course, Ahrefs and SEMRush. You can use either to research keywords at scale, to check the health of your site, and also to fix issues on your site relating to internal links, content caps, and so on. I used SEMRush for about a year, but these days I prefer Ahrefs because I find it's great for researching keywords at scale, and I can also check the health of my site. Now, unfortunately, it's not the cheapest tool if you're starting out with a new content website. They've changed the pricing plan recently, so it currently costs €179, so that translates to $179 at the time of recording this video, which can be quite a bit to pay if you're new to using SEO tools. On the other hand, if you were to use SEMRush, you can get a version for $119.95, so it is a little bit cheaper. You can use both tools to track keywords as a rank tracker and so on, and even to set up alerts. Ahrefs also has some credits built into it, so if you start researching a lot of keywords or require updates from Google Search Console and so on, you're going to have to pay extra for those credits, so do factor that in. It's not necessary to have these tools, but these are probably the premier tools that you're going to look for as a writer, or if you want to learn search engine optimization. I'm not going to go into detail about the features of SEMRush and Ahrefs because there was extensive videos on YouTube that you can check out. And to be honest, I could record hours of content on how to use them. Instead, I'm going to talk about some tools you may not necessarily have heard of. One of them is called Keyword Chef. It's far cheaper than SEMRush and its competitor. It'll help you find search terms that have some search volume, but which there's very little competition. And it's really simple to use and has a great pricing point. So you can actually get started for $20 per month per keyword, or $100 for 10,000 credits, or $250 for 50,000 credits. It's quite affordable too. For $20 per month, you can use 1,200 credits. For $100, you can get 10,000 credits, and for $250, you can get 50,000 credits. To put it in context, I use this tool every month to research hundreds of keywords, and I've only had to top it up with credits about 3 times this year. So perhaps my favorite tool is the wildcard feature. So if I type in best cast iron skillets for, and then I use the asterisk as the wildcard, Keyword Chef will just take a few moments to come up with some juicy keywords which will help me figure out lots of different types of articles to create. So in this case, it's come up with best cast iron skillets for camping, for glass top stoves, and for steaks. Now, there's very little search volume for any of these. So let's try another one. How to become an author. Now you can see there are lots of different topics that I could write about for becoming an indie author, an ebook author, and so on. So the question is, would I actually go ahead and produce content where there is very little search volume or competition? This is where I need to make a decision as the writer or the content strategist for my own site, if it's worth investing time and money in these particular articles. But I would go ahead and create indie author and ebook author as perhaps one article or 2 articles depending on how I researched that particular topic. Now, I've used the wildcard feature to come up with hundreds of article ideas. It really is endless, and it's a lot more affordable than some of the other premium SEO tools that tend to get promoted a lot more on YouTube and elsewhere. For the keyword cast iron skillet, it's given me a number of questions that I could potentially commission content about. So I would emphasize that these are low competition terms. So people probably aren't searching for something this specific in volume, which means your new site stands much more of a chance of ranking for it. So you could go ahead and commission or write articles about these low competition terms and gradually build up some search volume to your site over time. So you can filter a particular keyword by question. You can also filter it by best. Best is good for finding content with commercial intent, so roundups and so on. Although I would emphasize that this is much harder to rank for these days thanks to the last Google search algorithm update. Comparison topics is, you guessed it, comparing one concept to another. So you could write about two different products in your industry. How-to content is, you guessed it, how-to guides and tutorials. I found lots of gems using this particular feature. Most is another good way of creating listicles at scale. Alternatives is a good article to create if you have some content that's ranking and you're not quite sure what to publish or write next. Just write out alternatives listicle. Similarly, ideas can work well as listicles too. Now, Keyword Chef has another great feature. I use Clearscope all the time for the sites that I run. It's a fantastic tool for ensuring that your content matches searcher intent and also for collaborating with writers. And it also has some AI which can help you take the guesswork out of writing. If you're interested, I interviewed the Clearscope co-founder and CEO, Bernard Huang, for the Become a Writer Today podcast. So you can check out this interview to learn all about the Clearscope story. Now, the pricing of Clearscope does tend to change. Right now, it costs $170 per month. So that means it's probably ideal for somebody who's publishing quite a bit of content and has a budget to invest in it. If you have a budget for Clearscope, here's what you should know. Firstly, it has a keyword discovery tool built in it, which is quick and easy to use. This keyword discovery tool enables you to search for 250 terms per month. So you're not really going to do keyword research at scale compared to a tool like Ahrefs, but you are going to use this to find keywords that you can then create reports for. You get 50 credits per month on the $170 plan. Here's a report I created recently for the term Become an Author. Once I create this report, I can write directly in the Clearscope editor. I get a suggested word count, and I say suggested because Google Developer Blog says that they don't necessarily target or look for long form content to rank something. That said, I've noticed long form content has more of a chance of ranking because it has more keywords in it. It also provides metrics about the suggested readability of a piece of writing. And then it will give you a score between F and A depending on how you've met these guidelines. On the right hand side, you have key terms and topics to include in your article, and you can group these semantically. This saves me a lot of time with creating outlines for the articles that I write and that I commission other writers to write as well. On the research tab, you can also see the themes to address. So again, helpful with outlining. And of course, you can copy these into your Clearscope brief like so. You can also see questions for your FAQ, which you can also copy into your Clearscope brief. You can see citations that you should potentially cite in the article. So good for sourcing external links. And on the competitors tab, you can also see competitors who've published similar content on this topic. Clearscope works nicely with Google Docs and WordPress via a plugin, but you don't actually need to use a plugin or even buy seats for other people on your team, because I can simply click share, copy this URL, and now anybody can open up this URL and work on the Clearscope report. So basically what I do is generate a Clearscope report for an article, and then I either write it myself or I commission another writer to produce it. Now, there's no guarantee that your article will rank in Google search, but this will give it a bit more of a chance, and it will also help you figure out if the article matches the intent of users. There are lots of other Clearscope features that I have not covered, which I mentioned in my Clearscope review, which is also on this channel, so go check that out. Marketmuse is a popular content optimization tool that's aimed at businesses and perhaps enterprises. Basically, you can use it in a similar fashion to Clearscope to create content briefs and also to analyze content on your website that has some gaps. So basically, when I took out a Marketmuse account, it scanned through all of the articles on my site and then told me that I needed to insert particular topics and keywords into these particular articles to rank them. Now, unfortunately, Marketmuse is not that cheap. At the time of recording this video, it's going to cost you $7,200 per year. But you can try a version out for free, which will enable you to create 15 queries per month and up to 10 projects. Of course, if you're going to use Marketmuse, anyway, for any type of long-term project, you will need to upgrade at some point, but I understand the cheaper version of Marketmuse may be rolled out at some point. I used Marketmuse for a once-off project when it was a little bit cheaper, and basically I overhauled a lot of content on my site, and then I stopped using the tool. Not a criticism of Marketmuse, but it is an example of how you can use an SEO tool for a once-off project and move on. Unfortunately, I don't have an active account at the moment, but you can see here on this screenshot how you can use Marketmuse to create content briefs and also to research FAQs and to figure out what content to work on next. And the key proposition of Marketmuse is that it will give you as the writer, or will give writers on your team, everything they need to write something quickly and easily. Now, my takeaway from using Marketmuse is that it helped me increase the rankings on my site for content that I was refreshing, but I found the content brief creation process a little bit more time consuming than Clearscope. And obviously at this particular price point, it is a rather expensive proposition. Clearscope and Marketmuse may be beyond your budget. I get it. If you want something that's a bit more affordable, you can use Frase. Doesn't quite do everything those tools do, but it can still help you with briefs and figuring out search intent. Frase will cost you at the moment $44.99 per month for one user, and you can create 30 reports which work similar to the ones that I showed you a few moments ago. Now, I have an account with Frase that I got from an AppSumo deal some time ago. So I typed in become an author for this video, and you can see here it's come up with some suggested keywords that I could potentially work on. So we have become an author and become an author on Amazon. So if I select become an author on Amazon, it's also going to give me some potential questions that I could add to my article. And then I can use this feature to create an outline or to create a document that I could potentially go ahead and write in. There are other tools that you can use for analyzing keywords and topics to add. And once you have it all ready, you can write it yourself in the Frase app, or you can share it with another writer. So what I would suggest you do is come up with 20 or 30 briefs, figure out which ones you're going to write yourself, and figure out which ones you're going to outsource to other writers. You can put all of this in a spreadsheet. So you have the article topic on the first column, and then you have the link in the second column, and then you have the publication status on the third column. That's what I do. So you can see here there's lots of great information all about how to become an author based on some competitor content. Now, the only downside to over relying on a tool like this is you can inadvertently end up respinning some competitor content. I found that the insights from Frase don't quite match up to the ones that you'll get in Clearscope. So do encourage your writers to insert their own personal opinions and experiences into the article rather than simply respinning what's available online. And of course, always use a plagiarism checker, cite your sources, and link accordingly. Keywords Editor is a fantastic SEO writing tool that will help you think about what people are searching for and not just using Google and other search tools mindlessly. Basically, it's a plugin that you're going to install for Chrome or Firefox. Then you'll need to take out a plan, $10, $50, or $100. I suggest taking out this plan, and it should last you several months. I've only had to renew it a couple of times this year. Now, when you use Google, you can type in any term into Google and you will automatically start to get some metrics about search volume, cost per click, and competition. Now, it's important to say that these metrics will vary from metrics that you'll get in other keyword search tools, but it will help you start to evaluate if particular terms and topics are worth going after or spending a bit more time investigating. And you also get information on the right-hand side for related keywords or keywords and what people are also searching for, as well as long tail keywords. So you can see here it has the volume, cost per click, competition, and the search trend. I can copy these into Google Sheets for more analysis, or I can export them to a spreadsheet on my computer. But it actually gets better than that. If you're using YouTube, which is the world's second biggest search engine, no, it's not Bing, you can do the exact same thing. So if I type in become an author, I can get the same sort of metrics on YouTube. So this really is fantastic for using anything from whether it's Google to YouTube to Amazon to see what people are searching for and then tailoring my content or my research accordingly. But perhaps the key benefit is the next time you mindlessly search for something on Google, you could accidentally stumble across a topic, a cluster, or even a niche or niche website to go ahead and build. Figuring out what FAQ questions to include in your articles is important if you want to appear on page 0. That's basically the FAQ questions that appear once you type a search term into Google. It's prime real estate and people are likely to click through in some cases, not all cases. Now, it can be time consuming to go through Google, putting in manual keywords one by one to find FAQ questions. Some keyword tools can do this for you. The best one I've found is Search Response. Search Response is a new tool. I haven't heard many people talking about it. It costs $39 per month and that's pretty affordable. You can use Search Response to find dozens of FAQ questions that you can add to your articles, or even that you can respin into different articles. You can do the exact same thing for people also search for and related searches. So those other elements to page 0 of Google search. So let's type in become an author. Just takes a moment to scan Google or to analyze Google for some results. Then it'll present me with all of these beautiful questions that I could add to this article. So there's loads here. So is it hard to become an author? I could potentially work this into the body of an article. Can you become an author at 13? That would be something I'd probably add to the FAQ. How do you become an Amazon author? Maybe I could create a different article about that one. Why did Robert C. O'Brien become an author? Not sure who Robert C. O'Brien is, but that could potentially be a different article as well. So this is fantastic for finding additional information to add to articles, or even to build out articles that relate to one that you've just published. You can do the exact same thing for people also search for. So if I type in become an author, it'll also give you some other results based on terms that people are searching for. And again, you can ask yourself if your article matches the intent of these articles, or if you should commission something else. You can download all of this to a spreadsheet that you can use for more analysis. The only thing that's lacking is access that you can give to a team member. But I found at this price point, it really is an excellent addition to any writer who's looking for more content for their articles. If you want your articles to rank in Google search results, it's important that it's free of grammar, typo, and spelling errors. In other words, you need to think like a journalist who doesn't really have any bias. You need to produce something that's professional and that demonstrates quality. And this comes straight from Google Search Console's developer blog, where they describe how good content that ranks is free of spelling, stylistic, and factual errors. And this was also hammered home recently by the Google Helpful Content Update, where they basically said that content which ranks must summarize what others have to say. If you want to strike a balance between publishing quickly and also publishing high quality content, then you need a good grammar checker. I profile some of the best on this channel. Go check out these videos. To be honest, the one that I use the most these days for online content is Grammarly. I use the business version of Grammarly so I can collaborate with editors and writers for the sites that I run. That costs approximately $30 per user per seat with discounts available. Now, if you don't have a budget for that much, you could take out the premium version, which is just $30 per month, or you could even use the free version of Grammarly. Thanks to its AI-powered writing assistant, you can review and accept multiple suggestions at once that relate to correctness and clarity. And you can even use the plagiarism checker. I particularly like this tool because I've actually pasted in articles that have been published on my site, Become a Writer Today, and found other sites that have plagiarized the content. And this enabled me to issue a DMCA takedown request. So Grammarly is a key tool for any content publisher who spends a lot of time writing articles that they want to rank in Google search results. Just remember that what you publish should be of high quality if it's going to meet Google's guidelines. RankMath is one of my favorite tools for last minute checks before I or a content publisher hits the publish or schedule button in WordPress. It's basically a plugin that works a little bit like Yoast, but it has some additional features and it's relatively affordable too. In fact, it's only going to cost you $59 per year. So it's not really much to pay for everything that it does. So you can use it to create a type of content AI report for optimizing existing content. Don't use that feature that much because I'm on Clearscope. You can use it to track the performance of the top 500 keywords on your site, to handle schema, and so on. Now, I've set up RankMath on my site because it's something that I use extensively. And it's not going to help you rank an article all by itself. You still need to understand what people are searching for. That said, it does provide some last minute checks that any writer can use. Once you've installed RankMath on your site, it can automatically connect to Google Analytics so you can track the performance of the top posts. And it can connect to Google Search Console so you can see how your particular terms and target topics are ranking. You also get a score here for each post, which will be familiar to anyone who's used Yoast, which is the alternative. And if you click on this, or if you click on Edit Snippet, it'll bring up the snippet editor where you can preview the title. You can do dynamic titles like current year, like I've done here. So this will change to 2023 in January. You can also adjust the description and permalink and preview what it will look like. And then RankMath will give you a score based on the focus keywords that you've picked. If you click on Content AI, RankMath will research this particular topic or this particular term to see what competitors are saying about it. It'll provide you with information about word count, link count, heading count, media count, and so on. And you also get potential questions that you can add to your FAQ. That's going to cost you some credits, and it's quite useful if you really are on a budget. But like I said, I do tend to use Clearscope more often for these type of briefs and reports. And similarly, if you click on this particular term, you can start tracking the performance of particular keywords worldwide, and it's good for a type of research. Now, the only downside I would say to using RankMath is you can feel like you're doing a lot inside of the WordPress dashboard. You're tracking metrics, you're connecting to Google Search Console, you're optimizing your content for publication. Sometimes I like to use a dedicated SEO tool for SEO planning and research, and then I just like to focus on WordPress for publishing. And actually these days I don't publish myself in WordPress, a team member does, so it doesn't really make sense for me to use RankMath for these types of tools. But I do rely on it to make sure that all of the posts and articles on the site have achieved a green or as close to green score as possible. That's just a selection of the best SEO tools available today for writers. So the next time you have an idea for an article, spend a little bit of time figuring out what people are actually searching for as it relates to that topic. Because if you can marry your ability to write on a topic with what people want to find in Google search results, then you'll start to earn a good income from your writing. Anybody can learn SEO, and writers have a particular advantage.